Earlier today at the Paris Olympics, a biological male boxer advanced in the women's division over his female opponent. The fight between Italy's Angela Carini and her Algerian opponent, Iman Khalif, lasted just 46 seconds before the Italian female boxer abandoned the bout, yelling, quote, "This is unjust," end quote. While this competition at the Olympics may seem like a farce, the Biden administration's radical Title IX rewrite is set to take effect today and would impose similar matchups in states throughout the country. Joining me now to discuss this, Congressman Greg Steube. He serves on the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government. He represents Florida's 17th Congressional District, and he introduced legislation to prohibit men from competing in amateur girls and women's sports. Congressman Steube, welcome back to Washington Watch. So let me get your reaction to what we saw in Paris today.
Well, it's so disgusting that we have fallen so far left, not just in America, but in the world, where it's okay that biological men can compete against women in women's sports, and we're going to make all these excuses for it, and we're going to create all these rules for it, and it's just wrong. I mean, the majority of Americans know it's wrong, and you saw on full display today how upset that female boxer was. She has probably worked her entire life for this moment, and she has to go up against a male who like the Olympic Committee even admits that he's a male, and as soon as she got hit a couple of times, you know, suddenly she's like, there's no way I can fight this guy, and she's just absolutely devastated. You see that on the clip, and it's just absolutely horrifying that the left has perverted all types of women's sports, whether it be Olympic sports, whether it be kids in schools, whether it's women that are losing scholarships in Title IX in the United States. They have perverted it, and we now are seeing it on the world stage, and it's really disgusting.
I mean, it's unjust, as Carini said as she stepped out of the ring, but also it's dangerous. I mean, a male punch can carry about 162% more power than that of a woman. I mean, there's a biological difference. I mean, we're playing this charade, and now it's here in the United States. You've tried to stop it. We've tried to see legislation advance, but according to the Biden administration, with their new Title IX rules, this is a dangerous game that they're playing.
Yeah, and they don't care. And they don't care about the other people. They don't care about the safety of women in sports. And they don't care about the fact that there's going to be biological men in your daughter's locker rooms in middle school or in high school or in college. They don't care about that because they are pushing this progressive agenda on the American people. And you saw that with the recent release of Biden's Title IX rules, which flies in the face of why Title IX was created in the first place. Over 50 years ago, in the 70s, Title IX was created for women to have an athletic playing field to play each other in sports. It was created for women's sports, and now they're allowing biological men to compete. It's absolutely ridiculous. I hope it enrages every American, and they show up with their feet and they vote against these type of policies, because this is what the left is today, and this is what the current administration pushes on our kids.
Did you see this coming? I mean, this is, I assume, why you teamed up with Coach Tommy Tuberville to introduce the legislation to prohibit men from competing in women's Olympic and amateur sports. I mean, this has gotten out of hand, but I mean, you started working on this a number of years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, there was the quote-unquote Equality Act, that the Democrats call it, that came through the Judiciary Committee, and I filed an amendment to that act to simply define what a woman was and say and protect Title IX sports. Every single Democrat on that committee, this was only like 5 years ago, voted against the amendment, and I said, you know what, let's do this as a standalone bill. Back then, the arguments from the Democrats was, this never happens, you never see that, we're making this up, and we had example after example that was happening then, and now we see it all the time, and now we're seeing it on the world stage, and they want to push this progressive ideology on America, on the world, and it's just wrong. It's frustrating, it's upsetting. Women have come so far on the athletic playing fields to now have such a setback, and it's completely embraced by the left, and this is exactly what they want to push on the American people.
So, Congressman Steube, is this a rallying cry? Is this one of those places where I think we can build a broad coalition of individuals, say, you know what, enough is enough of this insanity?
Well, I hope so, because the bill that we had passed the House, obviously, but Chuck Schumer's not going to bring it up in the Senate. I have another bill as it relates to Olympic sports for this very reason that we saw today. And it passed the Judiciary Committee, has not been heard on the floor. I suspect when we get back in September, you're going to see that bill on the floor. It, again, will pass by party lines. Maybe a couple of Democrats will step out, but no Democrat voted for my Save Women's Sports bill earlier this year. So it's going to be a party line vote. But again, it's going to go and die in the Senate. The only way that we can change this and save women's sport is Trump is president, we flip the Senate, and we keep the House. That's the only way that this is going to happen. Otherwise, you're going to see the Biden administration continue to pass rules like they've done recently on Title IX to allow biological men to compete in women's sports.
Yeah, without question. This has been a top priority for them, along with their whole abortion agenda. Congressman Greg Steube, always great to see you. Thanks for taking time to join us today.
Thanks for having me.